Welcome back to the If I'm Being Honest podcast. Hi, guys. It's your host, Dana. If you are new and you don't know me, welcome. If you're not new and you're a returning listener, welcome back. Thank you for listening. So today's episode is If I'm Being Honest, everyone's faking it a little. So today we had Zahara and Faiza, the consistent panel. But the funny part is, guys, guess what? The audio from the first couple minutes of the podcast got lost. So we're gonna listen to me voice over the beginning part. I know, right, guys? So amazing. So the first thing we started off with was a quote. So everybody acts more put together than they are. We all pretend a little, whether it's confidence, understanding, or having our life together. And today we're talking about why we do that and how it affects us. So that was the quote. I'll say it again. Everyone acts more put together than they really are. We all pretend a little, whether it's confidence, understanding, or having our life together. So we're gonna get into that real quick, y'all. So Faiza started us off with a question. She asked, what's a small thing that people fake all the time? So we had to jump into the confidence, right? Fake it till you make it, right? I mean, and I don't think that's a bad thing. That's gonna be brought up later in the podcast, but it's very common for, people to come to events, whether it's at their job or in a relationship, you ask somebody on a date, even just putting yourself out there in a new scenery, making new friends, confidence. People fake that, fake it till you make it, right? So while that's pretty common, something that we did divulge into was the lesser common things that people fake, like happiness. Those shows where it's like a group of friends, right? And there's this one friend, she has the job, she has the kids, she even got a dog, whatever it is, they're very successful, right? But then somebody else in the group gets a promotion or something happens for them and it's like, you can't be happy for me. It's because that person is not really happy. They're faking this sense of contentment, because they want to present to the world like they have it all together, when in reality, a lot of times inside, they're mentally hurting, they're mentally broken. That's like something that, it's not really a small thing, but it's something that we see a lot, but we don't really realize it. A lot of people think that happiness comes from just having the life, the money, and, being comfortable. And happiness doesn't just come from copy paste outside look. Happiness can come in so many different forms. It's not just defined simply by, if I acquire XYZ, once I get the money, I'll be happy. Once I get the house, I'll be happy. Once I get the car, I'll be happy. Once I get the relationship, I'll be happy. Once I, anything, whatever it is, happiness is not an equation you can just kind of balance out. It has to be something you work in with yourself. So that was our opening warm-up question. So then we had my talking point, which is funny enough that it got cut off. I think that it's perfect because Zahara and Faiza had some really good points for their talking points. So a summary of what I said. It was a deep discussion, honestly. A lot of things were said, and y'all will hear later on. But people act like they have everything together because they want to represent what they do. And I think a lot of us, if not everyone, your representative is not who you actually are, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. People have different hats, people code switch, which is a whole different topic in and of itself, right? But the whole purpose of acting like you have everything together is because we're scared to be vulnerable and let people know that we don't actually feel the way that we present, and that there's a disconnect there. But I do think that is normal, though. I think it's normal to have a representative. Whether that representative was just confidence or deeper rooted, I think it's normal. Now, is it good? Just because it's normal is a different topic, and we'll get into that later about authenticity. But I think that reputation definitely impacts how people deal with each other, because we won't let people in to the actual deep parts of our lives. We won't confess things that we have going on, things that are wrong, things that we struggle with out of shame and fear of judgment, and therefore we'll keep people at arm's length distance. And you'll deal with somebody in a way that maybe they didn't show you they needed to be treated. They showed you that they can be trusted. They showed you they're not going to judge you. They showed you that they can maybe actually help you, but because you want to represent and you're focused on your reputation, now you don't deal with them as such, right? And we end up pushing people away a lot of those times and not getting what we actually need for ourselves, simply just because of reputation. Know that it's okay to want to improve. It's okay to have flaws. It's okay to want to be better for yourself. You don't have to show up to each space as the person you wish you were. As long as you're working and improving to become that person, then I feel like people should be able to work with you, and you can have healthy friendships and relationships, family, all that type of stuff as you're growing, which is a whole different podcast in and of itself. Let me know if y'all want that, because doing different types of relationships, whether it's business, whether it's romantic, whether it's friendship, whether it's family, whether it's kids, whatever it is, y'all want to hear an interview on people's testimony with that, on how they manage their life with other people while they're still growing as a person themselves, Let me know if y'all want that. I think the conversation had also brought up a big point that I think Sahar is going to mention as soon as y'all hear the clip, was about makeup, because it was brought up that, you know, as women, because, you know, we are girls on the panel, I actually realized that we haven't had a male on my panel yet. So let me know if y'all want that in a different perspective. As women, we tend to fake a lot when it comes to how we present ourselves, you know. Sometimes we dress up, or we do things and add additions that aren't naturally ours, which is a different topic on, you know, how controversial that is. But it was about presenting as a different person. Some people feel completely different, you know, when they wear makeup. They don't act like themselves. They're a whole different person like that. And it's not just makeup, it's hair, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm a victim of it myself, you know what I'm saying? If my hair ain't done, I'm ugly. I'm a whole different person. I don't want to go out. If I don't look good, I don't feel good, you know what I mean? And where that comes from is a deeper conversation, because I feel like as a people, as a society, as women, and even subgroups as black women, you know, if you're a black woman out there, you know, power to the people. But as different subgroups and the intersectionality comes into it, as women, like the way that we feel as our appearances and how we connect our value to our presentation and how people view us, you know, a lot of times we get our validation from how other people see us, you know, and what they think of us, and that affects our own self-worth, self-esteem. That's a whole different topic, by the way. A lot of times we hide behind a mask. If you're a woman and you wear makeup, go listen to the song. It's called Brave Face by Halle Bailey. And it's about how she covers up her struggles, how she, you know, presents to the outside world. And, you know, she'll cry behind closed doors, but then she'll pull herself together, put her makeup on, and she's presenting that brave person, you know what I'm saying, the strong person. And she is a black woman, so the strong black woman is a whole different topic that can be talked about. Presenting as a whole different person and turning into somebody else when certain factors are there, you know, and men do it too, you know what I'm saying? You ain't got no confidence unless your Jordans are new, you know what I'm saying? You ain't got no confidence if you ain't got no car, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, a lot of times, all types of people, if your haircut ain't done, you feel like a bum, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, some people truly do have such a deep connection to materialistic things, and we do have to learn how to detach about that, because it just affects our relationship with ourselves, which in turn reflects on how we do with others. So I'm gonna play the clip, y'all. Thank you for my little yap session recap voiceover. Let me know if you like this, if y'all want to hear the audio raw, if you like a recap. But sorry, hopefully we won't have any technical difficulties next week. Thank you for listening. Here comes the clip. Technical difficulties, guys. I'm so sorry. Anyways, I was gonna say it all ties into reputation and the way you choose to present to people. That's why we fake the confidence, you know, because a lot of times we don't want to show up as our true authentic self, because a lot of times we aren't happy with that true authentic self, which is, you know, what I said in the beginning about people act like they are happy when they, you know, actually aren't. They act like they have it all together, that they figured it out, when they actually don't, you know what I mean? And so it's because nobody wants to present as, oh, I ride the struggle bus every single day. Like, nobody wants to present like that, you know? So reputation definitely plays a big factor on how we present and how we deal with each other, because a lot of times we won't let each other in enough to see what's behind the scenes. So therefore we kind of deal with each other at an arm's length, because we don't really want to let people into what's behind the curtain. But y'all chime in. I'm just glad I don't have that relationship with y'all. Me and Z just had an amazing conversation last night about vulnerability. So I don't know, you could chime in.
Yeah, I actually wanted to chime in about what you were talking about regarding makeup, because you had said a lot of people feel confident when their makeup is done. And in a way, I just feel like your response when you were saying like a lot of people feel more confident when their makeup is done, in a way it can feel like faking, because you're technically enhancing or changing parts of your face. For me, I just believe that I don't always see it as like pretending, because for a lot of people, makeup is more like a tool they use to feel put together or express themselves. And it's kind of the same way where like wearing a specific outfit or doing your hair can make you feel confident. And I just believe that the confidence people get from makeup is still real. The makeup just gives them a push. I think everyone changes things a little bit, whether it's makeup, clothes, or even the way we act around certain people. And it just doesn't automatically mean someone's hiding who they are. Sometimes it's just about feeling comfortable in your own skin or presenting the version of yourself that you feel confident in.
I was just gonna say, like, I really appreciated Dana's point on reputation because as much as I agree with like confidence being something people fake, I think reputation is a big thing people fake on a day-to-day basis. Not necessarily because their reputation isn't real, but more so people will exaggerate certain parts of their life to come off as a certain way to other people in order to gain validation from them. And I feel like especially in this generation, people always feel this anxiety and social pressure to meet other people's expectations so then they can be accepted into whatever community or society they are trying to be included in. And especially with, again, our generation, like people have to do a lot with social media, and that has a big impact on our mental state and our mindsets on what we should and shouldn't show to the world and how we want to present ourselves to other people, to our society. And again, with reputation and confidence, it's just something we have to fake in order to come off a certain way.
Definitely. I think social media makes it even easier to exaggerate because you can take one good moment and make it look like an entire lifestyle, and people do it because that's what gets validation, likes, comments, attention, and it just becomes a cycle.
No, literally. The whole idea of having to be perfect on social media, I feel like that's low-key where it comes from. I don't know, like that
Mom
social
always said it
pressure.
was the phones. It was always the phones.
It's that one
Always,
phone.
it's
It's
that
that dang
phone.
phone. Right. Everything is on the phone. But literally, I think that has some type of truth to it. One thing that I hear one of my influencers say all the time, that we like, listen, we edit all of this. You know what I'm saying? We present everything in the way that it's supposed to look. You know what I mean? So y'all chasing this image, it's an edited image. You know what I mean? So when you're
And
trying
that's
to be
also faking. Yeah, I agree.
exactly. You're trying to be the perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfect employee, the perfect business manager, the perfect
The perfect
student,
chef, the perfect makeup artist, the perfect influencer, the
right?
perfect celebrity. Like, all of
Anything.
this influence is fake. It's false. It's not real.
All of these high expectations for what?
I think it's definitely something that a lot of people don't even realize they're chasing after. We know everybody be faking, but like, is it bad all the time or sometimes necessary?
I think at times it is necessary because sometimes faking means like you only take out the good parts of your day-to-day life and your personal self, if that makes sense. You don't present yourself as a bad person on purpose. You're gonna want to show people only the best parts of you so then you can be liked and you can build up a reputation and build up connections, relationships, friendships, whatever you want, because that's what humans would like, you know? Humans crave socialization, humans crave connections. So it's normal to be faking this way. But if it depends on the judgment of whether it's good or bad, I don't think there's a singular concrete answer for that because it truly does depend on the context and the person's intention behind what they do. If you're just lying, because faking can also mean just lying to someone, then you're trying to deceive that person. And if you want a connection, how can you make that real or true if it's not real? If you're pretending to be someone you aren't, then the person you want to make a connection with will not know the real you and they'll completely think you're someone else because you're basically performing to them. You're not telling them the real you or actual events that happen every single day. If they ask you, hey, what happened today? Then if you have this whole story of someone you're not, that story is not going to add up. And eventually the lies are going to catch up to you, you know? That's going to make it harder for you to build on that connection or relationship or friendship or whatever it is that you want.
Right. Everybody has their defense mechanisms. Everybody has their reservations, their traumas, their all those things like that. I was talking to Zay about this last night. I always say, for me personally, do not treat me in a way that I did not show you that I deserve because of your past. You have to learn how to feel people out and learn how to drop the act, drop the mask. Everybody has different masks on. You're going to present the way that you present your representative, as people say. Your representative is not the real you. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. You may represent as somebody who is tough when you're really very emotional. You may represent as somebody who's funny when honestly you're kind of corny. It doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, your representative 9 times out of 10 is not the real you. And I feel like we have to learn how to drop that act and be honest, because that's how you build genuine connections, which is exactly what you said. So we'll jump into the activity, I guess, guys. Quick write. We have 2 quick writes. What is one thing you have pretend figured out? The sentence would be, one thing I pretend to have figured out is ... So off the top of your head, what's something that you pretend?
Ooh, this one is a fun one. One thing I pretend to have figured out is balancing everything. I am a high achiever. I do a lot. I always pretend like I have my act all together and whatnot, and I act like I'm organized and on top of things, but most of the time I'm just trying to keep up.
One thing I pretend to have figured out is schoolwork. Honestly, I'm an A student, but it was funny because I was applying to college and I was applying to Princeton, and it was like, let me see one of the essays that you wrote that, gets you these great grades. And I'm looking through my work and I'm like, what have I been doing? Like, I don't know. And I don't know. It's like on the surface, I'm this great student. I get all my work done. I don't do any homework. I get all of it done. You know what I'm saying? All the teachers love me. But in reality, I don't have it put together either. Like, I'm struggling to write this essay right now for my next class. All these AP classes are low-key frying me. Like, I pretend to have it together, but kind of low-key struggling when you take a deep dive. So I don't know.
I think for me, it's kind of difficult to answer because I'm not going to say like I'm perfect. I don't have anything figured out, and I'm pretty real about that. Anytime anyone asks me like, do you have work? Yeah, I do. Have you read a book since September? No, I haven't. I can't find time. Have you done anything this weekend? I always say, no, I stayed home, read a book, to the library, didn't really do much, stayed in bed. I'm very real with that. But something I do pretend about is you go to class and people are like, oh my God, Faisal, how are you? How's it going? Like, I missed you. I'm like, I missed you too, and it's going good. But that's like my default response. I'm not always doing good. I'm not always doing, but it's not like I'm gonna unload that onto that person in a whole weekend and I haven't spoken to them in a while, or I truly did miss them and I want to check in on them and see what they've been doing with their life, because I already know my life. I don't feel the need to elaborate on that or to, again, unload all that stress and my issues onto that person. It's more so like me trying to be considerate of them and check in on them rather than be like, no, like life's so hard, like let me make this about me. It's not really something I ever want to do, and I'm not really the biggest person on being open. Like, I don't talk about my struggles. I don't talk about anything. Like, I'm sure you guys know. I don't tell anybody anything. I'm a pretty private person, I think. I think that's definitely something I probably have to work on and try opening up more. When it comes to pretending, I think that's a big thing. A big habit of mine is just be like, yeah, I'm doing great, doing good, as usual, even though some things might be different in the background.
And that's honestly okay, because nobody in this room is perfect. Nobody in general is perfect. We're all just trying to make sense of things as we go.
I think I definitely relate, because I remember people asking me like, how are you? How you been? I'm like, I'm good. But my good honestly was just neutral. It wasn't bad. I was only good because I wasn't bad. You know what I mean? It just became my default answer. So I totally understand. Because I didn't want people to perceive me as just always struggling. Like, that one person that you just see and it's like, are you ever okay? Like, you always complaining. I don't ever want to be that person. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. That's what I mean when I say like, I don't want to unload that onto that person. I don't want to make it about me, because at the end of the day, it's more about my connection with them and how they're doing and how we can catch up.
So what's 3 words you think people perceive you as? I'll go. I feel like people perceive me as healed, straightforward, and responsible. And then if I was to evaluate that, because that's the next part of the activity, if that's true or not, I feel like healed is not true. Responsible is sort of true, and I forgot the 3rd word that I said, but it's probably not true either. The point is, the way that people perceive you, a lot of times it don't be true. So I don't know, y'all give me your words and evaluate.
I just want to jump in and say, for all the words that you chose, from healed, straightforward, and responsible, I honestly can see that. You do seem like very responsible and straightforward. But I also like that you can admit that you're still learning and figuring things out too. And then for me, honestly, I don't think people would agree, but I would say strong, I would say responsible, and then I would also say nice. I'm nice, but I think I could be nicer. But if I could elaborate, I guess I would say I struggle a lot because I am on a health journey. I'm on some medication, so most of the days I feel like I'm yelling at people, and it sucks honestly, because I don't want people to see a side of me that can be perceived as, oh, she acts as all this and that, but now she's acting this way. So it's scary, and it honestly makes me think like, oh, okay, I'm not this person anymore. I'm not who I once was. I'm now changing into this person, and I am now scared of how people might see me.
For me, I'm not sure if it's very valid, so on my evaluation, I don't know if it'll be pretty accurate because I am my own self and I know myself best. So from my point of view, I would assume that 3 words people perceive me as is sarcastic, because that's my sense of humor, carefree, because again, like I said, I'm a pretty private person. I don't really elaborate or open up about my day-to-day life. And the last word I put was deep. By deep, I mean like when it comes down to the serious situations, I'm always there for that person and I always take things seriously when need be.
I would say I definitely agree with you being sarcastic, but I feel like nobody thinks you're really carefree. At least I don't. Just because I know you, I feel like you carry a lot on your plate. And the same thing for Zahara. We know you're nice, we know you're responsible. And yes, you are strong for carrying everything, but in my mind, I wouldn't use that word because I know that it must take a toll on both of y'all. You know what I mean? I guess I'll share a quote. At the end of the day, nobody has it all figured out. Once we understand that, it becomes easier to be ourselves and easier to give others grace too. And I like that quote because it just sheds some light on once you're able to, give yourself some room and some space, you're able to understand others that like, hey, I do it too. You know what I'm saying? I like that quote. Shout out to Z. She did it. I guess I'll take it to the ending questions, y'all. What's one area in your life where you want to be more honest with yourself?
That is a great question. Beautifully put. I definitely want to be more honest about my feelings instead of brushing them off because sometimes I pretend I'm fine when I'm not. I also want to be honest about my limits and stop pushing myself so hard just to look capable or responsible.
I definitely agree. I think mine would also be my emotional state as well because I think I always will put it aside or brush it under the rug thinking it'll go away eventually. And as long as I keep telling myself I'm okay, I eventually will be okay. But that's not always going to work all the time because sometimes you do have to address your feelings.
I feel like I'm similar to that, but also not because I'm very self-aware, especially when it comes to my emotions. I have to be with everything I have going on. I have to be very self-aware on where I'm at and how I'm feeling. But when it comes to certain things that bother me, I tend to be like, you know what? I don't care. It is what it is. I'm not going to let it bother me when in reality, it does bother me. So I feel like I need to be more honest with myself on that. But when it comes to like, oh, I'm feeling like this, I tend to be very honest with myself like that. And I sit in those emotions, which I was just telling Z the other day. Last question. What's something you want to stop pretending about?
Well, for me, again, like I said before, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but there's not really anything that I pontificate about. When I'm not on top of my work, I let it be known. Or when I haven't done anything on the weekend, I let that be known as well. I've never been dishonest about something like that. So I don't think there's much I pretend about. I don't make up stories about my day-to-day life.
For me, I definitely want to stop acting like I'm okay with everything that happens around me because it's just exhausting to keep up that act.
And that's simple and sweet. We should do an episode on people pleasing, guys, because that's what that goes into, acting like everything's okay. It doesn't affect you. We should do it. Yes? Okay, we should do an episode on people pleasing, guys. Thank you guys for coming and being vulnerable and opening up. This was a good episode, a quick one, but a good episode. So I want to thank you guys. Thank you for listening. Honestly, I couldn't do this without y'all. I really couldn't. Shout out to my editor. Shout out to my panel. Thank y'all. I'm gonna let y'all go. Thank you for this quick little episode, quick win too. Bye guys.